All right, we recording? I think we're recording. All right. Hello, YouTube. Chad the Third here. YouTube superstar. You know who it is. Essentially, this is just a short video explaining something that I finally realized after playing this game for about a year and a half now, right? So ever since I started playing, the pros and high-level Tekken players kind of mentioned just like the big difference between online Tekken and offline Tekken, right? And as someone who's only really played online Tekken, you know, like 99.9% of my games has been online, I didn't really appreciate it. But as I move my way up the ranks and I spend more and more hours in the lab, I'm realizing now just how different it is. So if you've been following my channel for a while and you've noticed that I've started streaming recently, you'll know that I've been on a bit of a losing streak. Now, I'm no stranger to losing. I lose all the time. That's how you get better at Tekken. No problem with that. But what I do then is I study the losses and try to figure out what I did wrong. And what's happening recently is that oftentimes I realize that I didn't do anything wrong. It was just online. And like, I don't like to be that kind of guy who's like, oh, it's the character's fault, or oh, this is cheap or whatever. Like, if I lose, it's my fault. I should have been doing something better. But increasingly, the solution I find in the lab doesn't work online because of lag or because of input or whatever. And that's really frustrating, because it's one thing to lose because you're making the wrong decision or you made the wrong read. I can live with that. It's part of the beauty of Tekken, right? But when you make the right decision, but you get busted because of bullshit, because of just the onlineness of it, it's really frustrating. So I've found 3 concrete examples. So actually, the losing streak I've been on, there were 3 characters really that really kicked my ass. It's been Steve, Asuka, and Eddie. So after those big losing streaks, I go online and I study the matchup and I watch them in slow motion, and you'll see. So here's an example. So I found myself getting blown up recently by this sequence, right? Right? So I got caught with that a couple of times. Right? This one. Bam, bam, bam. Now, I know that if I press a high, I get launched, right? Because it high crushes. And I've known that since green ranks, okay? I also know that if I go for a low, it low crushes, right? So if I go for a generic down 4 or a down jab, I get caught, right? Bang, right? Simple. Simple stuff. So my answer has often been that, right? It's a nice flow. You catch him in the middle, right? You catch him in the middle. Keep him honest. It's consistent. It always works, right? It always works. One more time. Bang. Right, now it's not the perfect solution, of course, because Steve has options that beat this. For example, right? That'll beat it every time. But at the same time, if I see that happening all the time, I can make him pay, right? But my go-to, nice drop, but my go-to is typically, oh, I can just down forward. But my go-to is typically like a down forward 1. Like the things I'll eat for a down forward 1 are typically not too pronounced. Right? Not too pronounced, typically. Okay? And if I'm proven wrong, then I will adapt. But typically a down forward 1 after that sequence has saved me. But here's the thing. Now we're going to go to yellow bar, right? So you put it to yellow bar. I'm going to do the same sequence from before, right? So same sequence from before. Bang, bang, bang. Okay? Now I'm going to do a down forward 1. All right? Hold on. Let me put, just to make sure that you know I'm not fucking this up, let's say display command history. So you know I'm not lying, right? So, right? Down forward 1. Right, so the same option that I found to be highly effective against this sequence online isn't working. It's getting me blown up. Right? Consistently blown up. It works offline. And it's not, again, this isn't like some highly advanced strat. It's just pressing down forward 1 after a very specific sequence. And it's getting me blown up. Like, not just a little bit, not just, oh, you know, a little bit off of a combo, a little bit of damage here. Like, it's a launch. It goes from being my launch to his launch, right? Super frustrating. And like all those other options I mentioned, right? So going for a high, that definitely doesn't work, right? And going for a low, definitely doesn't work. So it's like, whoa, it's super changes, right? So I guess now all I have to do is just like block, right? But it changes the situation dramatically. Like, dramatically. And it's not just that, right? So that's one example. And I found myself getting hit by that over and over and over again in a match. Again, check, I'll put the link to it in the description, but I found myself getting blown up for it over and over again. And even in the match, I was saying to myself, like, what? Down forward once to catch that? I'm pretty sure, you know, I got caught with that back in season 1 in like yellow ranks. And I went again into the lab and I discovered down forward 1 stops it. And now it wasn't working. So I was like, maybe it was season 2 change. No, actually, it's just online shit. But it's not just Steve. We'll go to another one, right? This is Alyssa, right? So I hate fighting Alyssa online. I think in terms of online characters, she is the cheapest. For me, maybe it's just because I'm a scrub, but like for me, because of one move. Right? You probably already know what it is, but it's her snake edge, right? So she has a snake edge that is seeable, you know, just like everyone else's snake edge, but less so, I feel like, because she has a lot of moves that kind of bring her down. And in you know, offline settings, it's perfectly reactable. Perfectly reactable. At least to me, right? Perfectly reactable. Boom. Okay, there it is, right? So, nothing special, just that. And I feel fairly confident that, you know, this is live, so it'd be awkward if I fall for it. Okay, low parry. Okay, alright, you can block it, right? You can see it. Right, but when I put it into yellow bar, that same move, right? Okay, blocked it that time. Again, I'm not doing it to show, like to, right? So I caught it that time. Okay, cool. Okay, caught it that time. Again, I'm not doing it to, like, I'm backdashing and then trying to catch it. Just genuinely, I'm not. Okay, so I'm backdashing. Okay, caught it that time. So I'm backdashing. Seriously, like, all of a sudden it becomes 50-50. Like, I catch it some of the time, miss it a lot of the time. And again, I swear to God, I'm not just doing it to, like, prove a point. I'm genuinely getting caught with it, despite seeing it. Like, this honestly becomes borderline unseeable, I feel like. And, like, Law has, like, you know, his dragon tail. Oh, got it that time. Okay, got it that time. Okay, so we're getting there. Alright, okay. Okay, oh, hold on. Okay, alright, but you see my point, right? So, I'm not saying it's completely unseeable, but, like, way less seeable. And, like, Law has a similar thing with his Snake Edge. Not Snake Edge, with Dragon Tail. But Dragon Tail is, like, it's a low, it's a hell sweep, whatever. I can live with that. But this is a legit launcher. So, like, you need to be able to, in order to enforce the risk-reward ratio of this move, you need to be able to do it consistently, right? And then another example. There was another example with Eddie. Like, I kept getting caught with slippery kicks, and that was super frustrating because I know I can react to that offline. Like, it's super seeable, but I was getting blown up by that. And another one, perhaps the most tricky for me, is Alyssa, right? Or Asuka. So, Asuka Kazama. So with Asuka, it's, which string is it? It's a very specific string with a very specific window to punish, right? It's in my opinion, it's her equivalent to a Junkyard. So with her, it is. Okay, so first of all, let's put it up back to this. Let's go here. Let's go to. Okay, let's go to White Hair on Dance and White Hair in Low. So White Hair on Dance. Mid, right? And then low, right? So how do you beat the mix-up? It's quite simple. Oh shit, awkward. All right, but I'll take that. What you want to do is you want to duck the third, right? That's what you want to do, right? But the point I'm making is that even offline, it can be a bit tricky because the timing is tight, especially if you go for the full launch. If you go for a while standing 4, you got more space, so it's more consistent, so I should perhaps be doing that more often. I can react a little bit later. But if you want the juice, and you know me, I always want the juice, it's a very tight window. But it's doable, right? Especially with this string, right? And of course, if with the low, it's the same story. In fact, you have slightly longer, right? You have slightly longer with the low, right? So it's the duck the third. You see her spinning after the jabs. You're like, oh, catch it, right? It's simple. Simple. But as you figured out, you go into this bit. You're like, okay, let me do that. It didn't even let me duck that time. I'm, again, not This isn't a stunt. It's not a stunt. I swear to God. Didn't even let me duck that time. And this is a real problem, right? This is... Like, how do you deal with this? Do you then teach yourself online way of doing it? Like, even the while standing force not quick enough. Okay, that time it worked. Right? Okay. Okay, got it that time. Okay, so let's go. So, fuck. And that's the slower one. That's the slower one, guys. Jeez. But yeah, hopefully you see my point, right? Oftentimes there are... I guess I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm not just doing it to be salty, because I was a little bit salty at the time, but I'm a lot less salty now because I genuinely feel that it was outside of my control, right? Like, the solutions I had found in the lab genuinely betrayed me online. And so I guess what I'm asking the community is like, what do you do? Do you just accept this? Do you just accept that certain characters are going to have your number online because it's online? Or is there some secret option select I'm not knowing about? Must I embrace the lag? Do I need to come here and like practice in yellow bar and like forever in order to deal with it? Do you know what I mean? Like, should I just do this? Maybe that's what I should do, right? Like, just practice, but in, God damn it. Like, it becomes a jailing string at that point. Jeez. Oh my God. Yeah, it becomes jailing. Like, what the fuck? Like, it really becomes a legit mix-up. Ugh, so frustrating. But yeah, I guess what I'm asking is maybe there's some wisdom, higher rank people, more, you know, people who've been playing for longer know the secrets of the ooze. Maybe they can help me out. But or maybe it's just a case of like, yeah, if you're playing this game online, you have to accept that there are certain sequences, certain characters and certain sequences that are just going to have your number by the nature of onlineness, right? Obviously you want to play high ranking, like, you know, top, but I set myself to 4 bar minimum. And you know what it's like in Tekken, you can set yourself to 5 bar minimum. And not only is it hard to find a match, even when you do find a match, you're still playing a yellow bar dude, right? So and I'm wired. So I don't know what the solution is. But yeah, I guess I'm just saying this to further illustrate the point that I think a lot of pros have been saying, or in all fighting games, to be honest. Like, oh, he's an online character. Oh, it's online shenanigans. Like, I've understood it in theory, but it's only recently that I've seen it in practice. And these characters, yeah, they exemplify that. Like, yeah, so I guess I just wanted to highlight that for everyone else. Like, yeah, can you think of other examples of this kind of thing? Like stuff where there's a very simple solution to deal with it offline, but online it becomes near impossible. And again, I don't want people to use this as an excuse. Like, sometimes if you lose to an Eddie player, it's because you just got out-Eddied. If you lose to a Lily, it's because you got out-Lilied. If you lose to an Asked, it's because you got out-Asked. You know, sometimes you just get out-Tekkened, and that happens. But there are certain times where you're like, dude, that is some online shit. And for me, this is proof of that. And it's really frustrating. I don't know what you do about that. Do we just have to accept it, or is there something I'm not saying? Anyway, I'm rambling now, but I'm hoping that this video brings some catharsis to other players who feel like they've just been caught with some online shit and they haven't really been able to put their finger on the issue. Like, this is the issue, right? Like, there is genuinely some stuff where a simple down forward 1 will save your life, and you go for it, and you end up getting counter hit. Not because you should have got counter hit, but just because, you know, online. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's it. Peace, guys.